So welcome to the part two of the account management flow demo session. My name is Rupesh and I'm the Salesforce consultant. And as I was talking about in my previous video, which is connected to this one, that was the video. And if you haven't seen it, you should see that first before you come here because it'll give you a context on what the flow is all about. This particular demo session is for what is under the hood. How do things work in the backend? The first one showed how it is for a user who's going to use it, but this is more for the business to understand the process underneath your Salesforce admin consultants and just to understand the complexities and the scalability of the design. So let's dive into it. So we are in this section, this is the account section, and you see this flow. And now we're going into the flows, which is in the back end. You can click on the setup and you're in the back end, which is where the flows reside. Now, ours is just a demo org, but in large orgs or any business of any size, you will have multiple flows running and multiple flows created, which can make it a bit complex to identify which one it is. I've generally made it a practice to make sure that the naming is proper. It shows me that's a screen flow. It's the main one and what it does, right? And also the subflows, the auto launch one, which is for the error, and so on. So if I were to click on this one, I've already kept it open here. You will see this is the whole piece. I think we can, yeah, if you see this one here, this is the whole, all the logic here, all the decision paths that we have. And if we just zoom in a bit, you will see this is the starting page, the starting screen. The one that you see here starts from here, right? So again, this is just a display text that displays anything that we put in it. But this is where we have all the choices, the radio buttons, like create contact, create new opportunity, update contact, and so on. So this goes on. And depending on what the user clicks on, you can have the decision path taking the user through through that particular path that the user chose. So in this case, if it is a new contact, you take them through this one. This is the one with the repeater. Now, what I've done here is just for a scalability portion, though technically the size or the complexity isn't much in this case, but I did create a subflow because creating of a contact it can go further and further complex. So it can be more complex than how it is right now. So this is just a subflow that is invoked. And I can open this flow here. And once it opens up, I can show you the repeater portion as well. So here you see we have the create contact screen. This portion is populated based on the ID that we get from which account it is, the account ID, and this portion is pre-filled. And then you have this is the repeater component. The repeater component keeps adding. It's a out of box. It's a recent feature from Salesforce that allows you to do this operation, which previously would have taken multiple screens, or you would have had to have a decision path. Do you want to add more contacts? And then you bring them back into this one, then add them to a collection variable and so on. This one is one screen, and you can add multiple contacts. And I'd shown you that in the demo in the previous video, demo video, and this is where it is that all the action happens. So once you have this one here, it's essentially just looping on that to create multiple records. And as you can see, there is a fault line built in. I do have a separate video on just the fault path because it's a concept and it's a subject in itself. So I'm not going to go into that for this particular video. Please look into that video as well, which goes into detail. But I will be showing you the error log and how the flow is structured as just for context sake, but we will do it at the end. So this is the first flow that we have. And now once this flow completes its action, it comes back here. It's just a confirmation page, which lists out all the contacts that have been created. This is the standard data table that's being used here. And again, this is just a summary page, and that's done. And as you can see here, the direction of the flow, it goes back to, if I click on it, it takes you back to the display start screen. But if you have another separate, or you don't want them to loop back to this one, or you want them to have a final thank you screen and that's it, you don't want this to loop again and again, we can do that as well. We just have to end it just like this button. The update contact, in this case, we have, again, it's a simple data table operation where you use this to update. So you can click on one of the many contacts you have in your org, and then just click on it, and it will display the name, last name, first name, last name, email, phone, or any other field that you want it to update. And once the change is made, the update contact is triggered, and then finally there's an update page, right? And then finally, and all these red lines you see are the default path, right? And then you have the new opportunity creation. The new opportunity creation, by the way, also has the contact role creation. So if I open this up, in terms of the complexity, this is where I would assume going forward, when you're trying to scale something, opportunity is one space where, or one area where you will find a lot of things that you can do. Maybe let's say you don't just want to create an opportunity, you also want to add product. You want to change the currency. You want to add opportunity teams. You want to add contact roles, something that we're showing here. But you may also want to, there's so much to be done, like the stage, the forecasting, and so many operations, so many things that we can do. So that's why it is good to have opportunity, or things that modify the opportunity or create a new opportunity be a separate flow in itself, but call from the main flow like it is being done here. And this is the subflow that's being called. Here, there's a question being asked, is it for a new or an update? The update path, I will go, I'll take you through it when I reach at the update ops stage. But for now, we have the new opportunity. You create it here. You take the input. Here's where the sliders come in. Sliders, and you can specify the range. Right now, I have the range maximum as 100 and the minimum as 0, but maybe those are not the numbers you work with. So, and also this per unit license cost, again, very simple, but you may not be working on those way. I mean, in those on those lines. So whatever it is, we can just add the label and change the calculation. Maybe there are more than two. You have 5 or 6 that eventually end up at opportunity amount. So whatever it is, that can be done. It's a very nifty new component. Again, another one of those new features that have been added by Salesforce. So looks great visually and is also great from a calculator point of view. So that is the slider piece. And then you have this checkbox, which triggers certain set of actions. And which actions are they? These are like the decision path here. It checks whether the checkbox was checked. And if it was checked, it takes you through this create contact roles section. If not, then it's goodbye. That's the end of it. And then it comes back to the main flow, which does have that final summary screen, right? So that is on the new opportunity side. And if you are creating contact roles, you will come here. This is where we have used the custom data table because we have multiple contacts to update. If let's say you have 3 or 4 contacts that you want to add to an opportunity, that means multiple contacts are being modified, which means we require a custom data table. And custom data table has a better UI and much more control from a admin or a consultant's point of view. So we can do many things. Even the table formatting, the way it looks, you can add images. You can also, so many options. There's so many checkboxes. It's pretty clear, straightforward. There is a documentation available that we can go through, which gives you clear view on what all modifications, changes we can accomplish. All right. So this is this particular screen. And once we have that, the number of contacts being added as contact roles, they loop on the opportunity and add them. So here we have assigned it. As far as good practice is concerned, we don't want to add a DML operation within the loop. So we have just the assignment here. And then once we have assigned it to a collection variable, this var OCR multi is the collection variable, and it takes the inputs from the single variable, adds it into the multi multiple variable or the collection variable, and then we create the all the records that are required, the contact role, opportunity contract role records. And if you can see, I mean, I'm not creating, all I'm doing is redirecting the error to this one area that I have. So again, the ease of usage is, I'm not creating in multiple places. I'm creating it places where it's required and then just directing the rest of the fall paths to that one area that I've created. So yeah, I'll take you to the error screen later. So that is the new opportunity path. And then coming to the update opportunity path, in this case, just to showcase, we did have a lookup. It looks up based on, we have a record choice variable that we created with opportunities linked to this particular account ID. So this it will only display opportunities linked to the particular account. Seems logical, but we do have to put a logic in this record lookup. And once we have that, it shows up as, yeah, I mean, it shows up here, and then you can change, add values, whatever you want to do. And then it assigns the ops and then updates it again. We are using collection variable, in this case, a single opportunity, a single variable, so that we can, single record variable, so that we can update the record as it's just one. And again, in this case, now, if you want to update or add contact roles to an existing opportunity, this is where you go for. So remember this checkbox that you had? I think it's on the second screen. Yeah, so this checkbox acts as the decision path. So if it is checked equals true, that is, do you want to create contact roles equals true, then it takes you through that add contact role. As you can see, we are repurposing the same flow, the same flow that we have here, but in a different style. And so this is a way we can reuse specific to a new contact role, from from a flow that we've already created, which is meant not just for creating opportunities, but also for and not just for creating contact roles, but also for creating opportunities. So I'll show you how we did that. So if you go back here, you see this decision element. It is checking if it's an update op or a new op. That input, it gets it from the main flow. And in this flow, if you open this flow, you will see we are putting update opportunity check as true, which is because it's in this path. And because it's true, it will go here, which is the update opportunity path. It doesn't create an opportunity. We don't have to. And then just goes here. And since it is true, it is checking one of the options is true, which in this case is true. It goes into the same contact role path and does exactly the same thing that I mentioned before, but for an existing opportunity, not for a new opportunity. So this way, we are using this particular portion of this subflow for the contact roles. So we're not creating a new flow again and again. We are just repurposing the one we require. So that's what we have here. And after that, I showed you this one case screen, right? So this one has no action. This is just a placeholder right now, and it'll take you back to the original screen, which is this one. So that is in a nutshell what we have here under the hood, but I do want to show you the error flow that we have here. Let's see, where is the error flow that I can show you? Yeah, here it is. So before we get into the error flow, there is a screen page that shows that we have encountered an error. And while creating and updating the record, if it's an input error, you get an email. That message, again, this is something that we can change here. All it is a display text. You can go in and change whatever you need, and change the display message. Change, maybe even have a photo or something like that, making it slightly less formal. Maybe you can just have like that oops screen that we get. We can add that, making it less formal. So once that we have that, it calls the error flow. The error flow again is essentially a subflow that's called in the fault path. The one thing about this, and this is a separate topic in itself, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we do make sure that the fault flow doesn't error out. It is important because this one, if this error out, it's not going to log errors. And the purpose of this flow is to log errors so that any user, any admin can go through all the errors that the flow operations are creating. And so at the end of the month or end of every 15 days, when the admin team sits together, they can decide or they can look at where are the errors coming from. And maybe there are a certain set of flows. And in my experience, there are certain flows that error out more than others. So why is it erroring? Some cases it may just be, if there are flows which are connecting to external systems, it could just be that one of the systems is down. That's a very common error when, especially when connecting with multiple systems. But if it's something that's within Salesforce and record update, you might encounter a scenario where the issue is essentially just user-driven data issues. So again, that's something that you get, and that's the whole purpose of having this flow. We'll go through it in detail, but to summarize, we have it does a null check so that it's like a fail-safe. And then depending on what kind of error type it is, and there can be several types of errors. Um, let's say you have a system fault. And Salesforce, what Salesforce does is when there is an error, it generates a certain stock message, right? Like if it's a system fault, if it's a permission issue, there will be certain set of text that is always there. And that's what I have used to separate out the various kind of errors. So for system fault, for example, we have a formula that catches, um, yeah, this one. So the error message always contains field custom validation exceptions or invalid cross-reference keys, which is classic indicator of a system fault. So if your fault message contains these words, this line, then it goes in this path. And if it isn't, it goes into other paths and so on and so forth. And each one of them have an error type. And again, I'm not going to go too deep into it in this particular video. But at the end of the day, what happens here is you get an error log that is created and a record under the custom object error log. And once you create that, it can also send an email. It sends an email to the admin. In this case, it does. And in certain cases, like this one, which is user-driven, user input error or invalid email, which is again user-driven errors, you can do is you can create an error log, get the user, and then send an email to the user asking the user to fix the issue instead of the admin doing their job, right? So again, it is modular, it's scalable, and this is what this flow is what is being called from all the flows that we have right now. And again, this flow is catch-all. So any flow in the future that you create, this error flow can just go in. And so this is, again, the error flow, we will keep it for separate discussion. But from the point of view of the account management, this is the entire flow, all the decision paths that we have taken. And again, modular in the sense that if you have cases or you have any other object that you want to add, which needs to be managed from the account itself, we can do that. Or maybe even adding notes, even adding or uploading pictures or uploading something else which is important, maybe a data table or an Excel, whatever it is, it can be done from the account itself. So that is it under the hood. Please feel free to ask me any questions. And again, thank you very much for watching this video. And please give me feedback on if you require or if you have any particular portion that you wanted discussed further. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching.